right, so I thought we would just do a quick sort of more collaborative approach rather than you all listening to me talk yet more, which you've been very patient, listening to me talk a lot already so far, and share either a game that you have found really excellent online, or a subject that you would like to make more fun online, but really please don't take too much time, otherwise we won't have any time to talk about what you've raised. This is like play or pass in Music Mind Games. You can pass if you don't want to play, that's absolutely fine.
This is a great subject for me this term because I like this spring term. I always do a sort of theme, and this theme is games for me. So I'm currently doing a game. I'm just sending it off right now. We're doing consequences, musical consequences, and I've just written a couple of notes on a long stave, and I'm just posting it off with stamped addressed envelopes of all my students in each group lesson. And then
That's
they
so
have to
wonderful.
compose the next bit, fold it over, and only leave a few notes left to see. So they're only allowed to read those few notes and then carry on and pass it round. And then it's due to come back to me, and then I'll play it to them all. So.
That's really brilliant. Thank you so much. So, Maria, would you like to share anything?
Yes, hello. I've been enjoying this so much. Thank you. So, yes, I would like maybe if you have something for mixed age groups, any kind of game.
Okay, mixed age groups.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure. Great. Alice?
Thank you.
Hi everyone. We really enjoyed a music history game. I sent them all. We had sort of guess who, and we had to. Everybody was a composer, and there was it was a secret who is who, and they had to guess by guessing. You know, are you a man? Are you classical? Are you, what have you written? Have you written this and that? So I found this game being quite fun with the more advanced students.
Excellent. I can imagine how that might go with the Suzuki repertoire. Are you a man? Yes. Are you white? Yes. Are you dead? Yes. Are you from the Baroque period? Yes. Okay, I still have no idea which one you are.
Are you from Austria? Are you German?
Alice?
I'd be interested to see more music mind games online.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hi, Oki. Do you have anything you would like particularly to share or ask about?
Also, if anyone would like to share any games, that would be great. I'm about to do some online teaching for one of Kate's old groups actually, and it's all online, so that it's for a weekend, and yeah, it would just be great to.
Camden?
Yep.
Aww. I would say send them all my love, but obviously all the kids that I was working with are like practically retired now. It was so long ago. But thank you. Sue?
Well, something that I've particularly this time tried to do is just try to, make things fun for them. As Herb, you've sent stuff around, Kate, to us. So this isn't so much a game as I tried to make. We tried to make violin playing sort of as uncomfortable as possible, which doesn't sound that fun, but we had fun doing it. So I have a book one and beginners and book one group on Saturdays actually, so we had it today. And so what we tried is we knelt down on the floor, we sat down on the floor, we lay down on the floor. Then I said, go and put a scarf around your neck, and then we tried to play. We were doing busy stop rhythms, and then we put a hat on, then we put some gloves on, then we put another pair of gloves on, then we put a jacket on, and we were trying to play busy stop, and it just got so ridiculous. We were all having fun and giggling, and even the parents were laughing and giggling, and we all just had such fun. And it was just and I got some emails and some messages back saying, so and so had really great fun today, or so and so really enjoyed the lesson today, and it was really nice to get some messages back, and it was just fun. So that's not so much.
It's such a pleasure to take it all off and play properly as well.
And actually, when they got back, it was just like, oh gosh, this is so easy.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
It's really dawning on me how much kids need to have fun and be silly, because the whole nature of the lockdown has kind of changed One thing I found that was really, really good the other day, I've been doing some creative ability development training with Lauren Nerenberg, and I've learned a few things, just one or two things from her which have really worked. And one of them was the animal guessing game. The kids put a name of the animal into the chat, and just playing some simple modal chords on my keyboard, they hold the name of the animal in their mind while they play, and everyone else guesses. And really, they took about 2 guesses before they guessed the red panda and the, quite exotic animals, and they found that enormous fun. But I'm on the lookout for more games, any games, because I think that's what they need at the moment. And one more thing is Carrie Beth Hockett's bingo games. That's really popular with the children. They say that's their most favourite thing when I do those. So yes, there's those things, and also a game of broken telephone where you have to imitate the previous person. Even if it's not what the first person came up with, and it could be the gesture. They find that, they can be silly with that as well. So I'm just on the lookout for any kind of games, really, anything anyone else has to share, and I hope that was helpful. I'll put the names of the games in the chat if you like.
Yeah, fantastic. I had a really interesting one of those really light bulb moments about one of my Facebook posts where I was kind of writing about, I basically posted what I'd written to the staff at Suzuki Hub about what we need to really offer the kids at this time, and about how we can make sure that the lessons are inspiring, and they're the place that they're having the most fun and the most interaction in the week that they can have, and that we're really trying to foster their communication with each other and not just play all the time, and to have times when they can chat and share what's been good, what's been difficult, what's driving them mad, what they're looking forward to, what they're missing, whatever, and also make sure that we're having some laughs, and also maybe share a video with them. Each week we're sharing a video and trying to make that a kind of diverse offer of different videos as well. And so we watched Chloe Chua, aged about 9, or however old she was when she won the joint first in the menuing competition playing Winter. When we talked about Winter and how amazing she was, and all of the things that were amazing about her playing that were nothing to do with the violin playing, and that's been really, really brilliant. But my friend posted on this when I posted this in Facebook. She posted, well, this is for everything all the time, not just for Zuki and lockdown. And I was just like, yeah, you're so right. I think that group lessons should be a really joyful experience at any time of life, and I think that we can get, I think Suzuki teachers generally, maybe music teachers generally, can get bogged down in the details of whether you've made it, this note in tune, whether you're doing the crescendo in the right place, whether you're standing perfectly. And a bit like Khalida was saying at the beginning of today, we need to see the whole child, the whole person, the whole family, and to really inspire them to do great things, not to play the next note perfectly in tune. And I think that that's definitely something I'll be trying to take out of lockdown with me as well, is keep the joy at the center of everything we do, because right now it's very easy for us to recognize how much we need the joy because it's so lacking. But actually that should be the number one thing all the time, right? I mean, that's why I'm a musician, is it brings me great joy, and a teacher brings me great joy. So yes, Alison, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, this might be a bit heavy, but I'm just thinking for the older children that are on quite advanced repertoire, something like giving them a task before the group lesson to listen to different performances of a chosen piece, and then they can have scorecards as to what they think about it, and to a sentence or two as to why.
Not heavy at all, I think. It's all in how you present it. That's great, thank you. Do you have anything you want to say? Hi.
Let's see, one game I've played is, what is it? I think it's like Family Feud, where you put some blank lines on the whiteboard for a phrase, and I might use musical terms like Allegro and Dolce. I hope you have a sweet and lovely holiday or something. And then we use theory questions, and they get to guess a letter and see if we can come up with a phrase answer.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you.
I had a similar kind of one, where you have a wheel with different challenges on it, those kind of spin the wheel apps. So something like, put a book on your head, stand on one leg, play with one eye closed, and you can spin the wheel and they pick a challenge.
Brilliant, thank you. Sarah?
Okay, so what game to play is to get them to play either a very bookworm piece or just a bit of improvisation,
and you have to guess what emotion they are conveying. So we had quite a fun one because we had like a Christmas play together. So we had them all imagining that it was Christmas morning and how were they feeling, and they just had to do some stuff, really. And actually they all guessed each other's ones correctly. It was quite entertaining to see them do that.
Brilliant, thank you. It's lovely to see you, by the way. Sarah and I normally teach together once a week, but not currently, obviously.
I have a teenage niece who's opened my world to a lot of online games, and they've been big hits with my students. One is, I've heard some people do versions of this, but Hangman. We do that with theory or composer or musical terms, and another one is Jeopardy. That's a really fun one with group class. And something that I would really like to do with my students, we've been doing individually in private lessons, improvisation with a backup track. And then there's this guy who also does his rhythm flashcard things online, and the kids really love the music, and he's really hip, but I can't really tell whether they're really clapping accurately. So my dream is to find a game online, rhythm game, where I can tell that they're in sync to the rhythm. So if anyone has clues about that. Oh, and another thing we do a lot of is tone savvy. It's now tone savvy.
Thank you, that's so helpful. Isabel.
Yes, hello to everyone. I do sometimes this kind of games. Do you know these things?
I can't see what it is. Is it a Kinder Egg?
From a chocolate thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And you could put some rhythm inside it, and the kids have to choose the numbers, and then you can clap the rhythm on it.
Oh yeah, cute.
Something like this. Or I invent some stories for breathing and something like this. We are going outside and the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, and then they have to do like, and we hearing a duck or something like this.
Yeah.
And then we do this. I put my video off, and you have to hear the sound I'm doing is something from the household. And the kids have to guess what sound it could be. Can you hear it?
Yes.
What could it be?
Who would like to guess?
Yes, Maria, you're right.
I thought it was a keyboard.
Scissors. Scissors. I did that game with them. I mean, when we were face to face, and the children, they are completely hypnotized.
Yeah.
Wanting to know this, and very opened. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do something like this.
Yeah. Thanks.
Of course, music mind games.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Sarah, please go ahead.
Sorry, I've been having my camera off because I'm very much in my pajamas and in bed, but lovely to see everyone. You all look very nicely put together. So maybe my games aren't as fun as some of these ones that have been described, but two things that I found to be really, really good at, breaking the ice, especially if it's a new group coming together, is to make the kids mute themselves and get a pentatonic scale up. So obviously it can be played at any level, just spell out the notes to them, and then you can provide a drone and the kids just freely improvise over the top of it, and that can make them feel really confident when they don't have to perform per se to everybody else. That's been really great. And the second one is if we all think of a really simple melody, some that potentially kids that are on a higher level, if there's a mixed group, they can harmonize or even play in double stops, and then you can hold up different kind of emotion cards, so play it tense, jubilant, moody, all these kind of things, and the kids can either one at a time or even again on their own in bigger groups in case you don't have time to go through one by one, to get them to play in different ways and things like that. I found those have been my most effective ones. So yeah, I hope that helps people get the juices flowing as well.
I think one of the best things about teaching on Zoom is how you can get everyone to have a go without hearing everyone else at the same time. It's just an amazing kind of, you know, silver lining to this, to lots of negative effects, but that is really, really brilliant. Thank you. Nicola.
Yeah, that was one of my points actually as well, just really taking the advantage of them being able to hear themselves very clearly, and yeah, feeling a bit braver maybe, so they can do more tonalization sort of things where they can hear themselves. And also with mixed ability things, it's really nice to play just a backing track, share your sound and play them all a backing track, and either send them out different parts at different levels to play along to the same harmonies or the same backing track. Just get them playing. They like the backing tracks as well, don't they? They can go for it.
So I think the one of the ones that I've had really, really good fun with, and is also really excellent for the kids in terms of learning, has been the kitchen implement game, where they go to their kitchen and they pick something or two things that starts with the same letter as a musical technique or instruction or you know, dynamic or something, and then the other students in the class have to guess what it was. And the best one that we had with this was somebody came with one of those lemon squeezers that's bright yellow that looks like a kind of lemon, and a pizza cutter, and it was for left-hand pizzicato. And so those kind of, yeah, it's really good. So those kind of things where, and also, you know, they're sat down so much of the day, especially now that schools have organised much more online learning, which I think is better than it was last March, but it does mean that our kids are spending a lot of time just sitting in front of the computer. And so if you can kind of build into the middle of group class an opportunity for them to run around and get something, that's really, really helpful. And that's really fun. And then you can talk about what, you know, if someone says portamento or portato or all these things that, you know, maybe the kind of quickest kids in the class might know, but lots of the kids will just be like, oh yeah, that Italian stuff, I don't really know what that means. Then it's a really great opportunity for them to learn that as well. Lots of the playing games, because I think it's very easy to play a lot in Zoom classes, but that obviously is one type of approach, which I think the kids really like, but is kind of less interactive and more just like playing through a bunch of pieces. First of all, if you don't use a backing track for playing repertoire, I really recommend that you do. You can just use the CD backing tracks, which you can also download from the internet if you don't have a CD player. I don't know many people who do anymore. And use an external, a Bluetooth speaker. So I just have this speaker, which is like, I mean, this was a relatively expensive one. I think it was £80, but it's got a lot of power. We can go busking with that. And you just check the levels with the group ahead of time and make sure that they can hear both you and the backing track, and then they have a much better playing experience. But lots of the things that we've done, relay challenge, playing one phrase of a review piece. You need to make sure that they know the order they're going to play in before they play, because of this thing of the Zoom orders being different on different people's computers or devices. So just get them to kind of, you give them a number and then get them to say their number super quick at the beginning. Obviously that doesn't work with a backing track because they can't stay in time, but it doesn't matter if it's one phrase at a time. If there's a little lag in between, that's fine. And they need to use ghost fingers when it's not their turn, so that they know where they are in the music, whatever instrument they're playing. Body percussion is a good memory game. So everybody's unmuted and someone taps a rhythm somewhere on their body, and then they pick the next person they want to pass it on to, and it's like my grandmother's footsteps. So they play the original rhythm and then they add a rhythm themselves, and then you see how far you can get through the group. It's a bit tough if you've got 15 kids on the last kid, but it can be quite fun, and then you can just say that if they can't remember it, they can just call time and start again. And that way nobody kind of loses. For string players, you can bow a rhythm, the rhythm of a piece in the air, and they can guess what it is, and the first person who recognises it can choose whether they want to lead it, so you mute yourself and they are unmuted and everyone else is muted, or whether they want you to lead it. And and a way to play that if you're not a string player, and also that we can also play it, is to turn your sound off. So if you mute yourself, so for example, do I have a violin that's working? Yes. So I mute myself and then I play a piece, and then you can work out which one it is just by watching. Etc. Jennifer?
Was it beret?
Yes, it was. Well done. So then you would get to choose whether you wanted to lead that piece for all of us to play or not. So that could be a fun thing to do. One of the ones I've really enjoyed playing with lots of the different levels is that you appoint somebody as the leader of the game, and often we can do this by someone who's got a birthday coming up or just had a birthday, or the person with the biggest pet, or the person who, I don't know, whatever you want to do. And you all play something, and whenever they decide to, they just stop, and everybody has to stop, and then somebody has to work out what note they were playing when they stopped. So that can be a bit difficult depending on the lag. So you have to kind of ask them if they've got it right or not. But for example, okay, were you playing a G sharp when you finished? And then either you can play a piece that has that note in it, that means you can play pretty much anything, or if it's a more generic note, something that's in that key, something that starts on that piece, or you can find that note in a different piece, and that can be really nice. And then the person who's found it can again choose whether they want to lead it or whether they want the teacher to lead it. And I think, just as a side note about leading on Zoom, it's very much more vulnerable for the kids than it is in group class to lead something, because if they stuff up, there's no help really easily available. You can't play with them. It's very, very exposing if you say, oh yeah, I want to lead that piece, and then you do a repeat wrong, or you can't remember how it goes in the middle. And so I would just be careful about getting kids to lead a piece all the way through. Make sure that either they are robust enough not to be upset if it goes wrong, or that it's a piece they really know well enough to do that. Because early on I had a bit of a sad experience with a kid getting really upset that happened, and I just felt so awful because I just couldn't really help her in the way that I wanted to, in the way that we would in the room. So yeah. We have, like I said before, we have been choosing a video to look at each week, and then talking about what we like about it, what was good about it, maybe if there was something that we didn't like about it, why that was. One of the things I really noticed the kids picked up on from watching Christian Lee and Chloe Chua, so we watched the semi-finals of the Menuhin competition where they had to play the same piece one week, and then the next week is the amazing leading capabilities of those students and how much interaction they had with the orchestra. I don't know if any of you have watched it, I'm sure some of you have, but it's absolutely amazing. And it's really interesting because they behave very similarly. You can see why they won joint first, although I do think Chloe should have won it. But the leading and the interaction with the orchestra is amazing. They're like turning around and really, they've got such control over the group. And yet Chloe Chua just has this, she looks like she's having the best time in the world, and Christian Lee looks like he's a little bit terrified. And it was really interesting that my kids picked up on that as well, and were like, they really kind of noticed that emotional presentation as well. So you can give everyone in the group one note and then see if they can work out how to play a piece. Obviously the rhythm's going to be all over the place because of the lag, but that's quite fun to do. So everybody's just unmuted and you see if you can cobble together some sort of recognisable piece. A review challenge. Someone plays the first note of a review piece with all of the details as much perfect as they can, and then we can see how quickly someone can identify it. And obviously at early book one level, that's going to be more about just what note it is and how long it is. And then by the time you get to book 3, you might realise the difference between an upbeat, for an allegro piece versus an allegretto or an andantino piece. So that's quite a nice one to do with differing levels of fussiness. I can't think of a better word. playing a review piece, identifying a review piece from the trickiest bit. So sometimes the kids would play 4 notes and then other students have to identify what those 4 notes are from. And then for my kind of book 4 and 5 group, we've done quite a lot of play a tiny bit of a hard piece and then talk about practice strategies that you might use for getting that better. And that's been really great because they love to listen to other people talking about how to practice, not just me. So we've done, you know, review practice, slow practice, rhythm practice, look away for memory, understanding the structure of the piece, the harmonic structure, all of those kind of things. And that's really nice to, it lets them chat as well in group rather than just always playing and listening. We do solos followed by positive feedback. That's not really a game, but just a kind of standard thing. It's really lovely for the kids to hear each other and say what they liked about it. And on Zoom, we're using the, maybe you all know this already, but spotlight means everybody sees that person. So if you spotlight someone, everybody sees them big on their screen and they can't change that. And if you pin it, that means that you see them large, but no one else's view is affected. So we have screen shared a poem or a photo or a picture and asked the kids to make up some sort of improvisation, either totally free or if you are, you know, doing improvisation with them using the pentatonic scale or whatever, and then you can put that in relation to a Suzuki piece if you want to take it one step further, that okay, which pieces make you feel those same emotions or which pieces does this remind you of, and then play that piece all together. We did a brilliant project with the Book 6 group on contemporary composers and asking them to research a composer that they wanted to present about, and it was pretty basic. Like, they presented 5 facts, one of which had to be quite difficult to find, not just on the first page of Wikipedia, and then they had the option to screen share a bit of video of that person or of that person's work as well, and we were very instructive, I guess is the word, about making sure that they didn't just choose upper middle class white men composers. So we had a really good diverse group of composers of different instruments, of different idioms, and that was really great for the kids to hear and see each other's. And that was really nice as well for them. When we first went into lockdown, lots of them felt like they didn't want to do solos, so we gave them that opportunity to do that instead of doing a solo, so they could choose, do you want to do a presentation or do you want to do a solo? And that was a really nice mix. Oh yeah, you can mute your own video and then play a piece, and rather than them trying to work out what the piece is, that you're focusing on a particular articulation or technique, and for them to try and work out what it is that you're really paying attention to. So it might be contact point, how far away you are from the bridge, or it might be vibrato, or it might be dynamics, or it might be speed of bow. But rather than just working out what piece it is, try and work out what it is you're really focusing on, and then that can take you into the next stage of the lesson where you think about that thing with them. And then Sharks in the Water, especially for the beginners, but also I think for the more grown-up students, is a really fun game where you play a piece and you get a note wrong, and if they can, you know, if they are, obviously they're at home, they can sort of go to a corner or sit on the sofa or whatever if you play a wrong note, or just stand up and sit down. But it lets them really practice listening carefully, make sure that they know how the piece is supposed to go, and also it's a fun, silly, running around and screaming kind of game. And I think lots of teachers I've heard playing that game do it really obviously, like you would know whether you'd ever heard the piece before or not, like well, you're gonna know that that's not how that piece goes, whereas if you play, then it's much more subtle and you're actually checking that they are listening to their recordings rather than just giving it to them on a plate. I slightly foolishly offered my group the chance to test my Suzuki knowledge by asking for any solo from any book by just the number. So like, play me the 5th piece in book 6. And they really, really liked that. I actually started doing that when I was doing my level 5, and I really wanted to know all of the repertoire really, really inside out. And that is a really fun thing. But they all, of course, they say play the last piece in book 10, which takes too long and isn't actually that exciting for them to hear in a solo. So yeah, that's a fun one for them to do. And then there are lots on the website as well. And then I thought, do we have any questions about any of those? I've just gone through them really, really quickly, but I will send you the list, and most of those are on the website too. Any questions? Yes, Baba.
What's Sharks in the Water? How does that game go?
So that's the one I just played one of, where you play a note on purpose wrong, and they have to scream or run to the sofa or sit down if they hear the wrong note. It's called Sharks in the Water because normally in group class we put mats out like little islands, and they swim around the room while you're playing the right notes, and then when you play the wrong note they have to get onto an island as quickly as they can. But obviously that doesn't work with social distancing or anything else to do with COVID, so that's a sort of home version of that for Zoom. Before we go, I will just share a couple of things that have been really great from my youngest students. I have a student, lovely Hal, who some of you might have seen in a video on YouTube, who will not do anything for me in real life or on Zoom unless we play this game. And I have a group, like a pencil case full of little rubbers that are from Paper Chase, I think, but they're little animals. And so we'll start on the same spot together. And then if I ask him to do something and he does it nicely, he will get to move forward. And if I ask him to do it and he refuses or he's being silly, then I get to move forward. And so obviously most of our lessons, he just goes through and he wins by getting to the end, and I'm stuck at the beginning. And I say, oh, I'm so sad. I haven't even got to go a single one. But this, I call it the maze game. It's not really a maze, but it works amazingly well. And that's been really fantastic. For him, and he's 5. So with quite a lot of mine, just use these rubbers and put them, you know, where I'm teaching, I can see a bit of table behind me or something, and just put one out for each thing that they do well. And then at the end, we can say, my goodness, look, you've done 15 brilliant things in this lesson. That's amazing, well done. And that's a really nice way for them to feel encouraged. I sell these little things called practice packs. I haven't really been doing anything with them since lockdown, but they, when I was teaching on lots of workshops, I was carting them all around, and they're quite useful. They've got a little a piece of paper with games that you can play with the kids in them, but this is the thing that I found. Well, no, there are a few things in it that I find really helpful, but the kids love this. Like if you're not, and especially if you're on Zoom, if you can get yourself out of the shot. And so it's a really nice way to make them really pay attention to whether they're making a good bow hold, whether their violin or instrument is in the right position. It has the little bow monkeys that I think probably a lot of you have seen, that these Playmobil monkeys, and you can put them onto your bow so that you can use them for different bow lengths. They come with a pair in them. So, you know, if you want them to practice whole bows or tiny bows, you can just put them in the right place. I did also see somebody using wine glass markers from Amazon that are little silicone, like, they look like a little ring that's had some of it just cut out so that it's open. And you're supposed to put it on the wine glass stem at a party, remember them? and so you can put them, they're different colours, and you can put them on the bow, and they're also really brilliant. And then these are really excellent, I think, particularly in lockdown when you can't touch the students. If you've got a straight bow problem, you can put those, sorry to non-string players, this is not helpful for you, but you can put them in the F-holes and it will stop them. They'll push it over if the bow is not straight. So, you know, they will actually play their violin or viola or cello like this, and then if they push it over, they know that they've made their bow go in the wrong place. And then it also has lots of little pom-poms. And so we do loads of stuff with pom-poms. We put them on the instrument to make sure that it's in the right place. We push them through bow holds. We put them, you know, on the strings if they're practicing just holding the violin. They see if they can go up and down with the right hand to see if they can keep it on there. etc. There are loads of things like that. So I think little, you know, it doesn't have to be these packs, but things like that, that you can sort of send a list to the parents of ways that they can make it more fun to correct technical issues, can be really useful. And then the other thing that my kids really love is these, and this is just a massive foam die, and because there are obviously 6 on there, we use them a lot for twinkles, so they can choose their twinkle variation by just rolling it, and then they have to play whichever one they get. And for more advanced students, I use this, which is 20-sided for repetition boxes. And so they've got to be brave if they roll this, because they might get 20 and we might have to do 20 of that, you know, difficult bar or whatever. So those are also 2 things that I use a lot. And then the last thing that I want to show you, well, there are 2. This is a little counter that I've made for the stand, and we just stick it on the stand. It's literally just a ribbon and some beads, but because the ribbon is thick, it means the beads stay up. And so if they're doing boxes of 10, they can literally just move them along as they do it, and I think it makes it much more likely that they will actually get to 10, because there are still some left at the bottom, or you can start with them high and push them down as you do them. So lots of my kids have them, and they really they're fun to make as well. And then finally, 2 things I must remember. I've been using these, and I actually think that I might start to use these again still when I'm in person, because the kids, it's so great to have non-verbal communication. And so, you know, sometimes I will do this if I'm in my teaching, and then we have also just, you know, instructions that they can do, that they can follow. So those have been really, really useful, and they love the emoji ones. We have, and I just printed these off. As you can tell, they're quite pixelated. I just printed them off the internet and stuck them on some card and laminated them. Do put what they are on the back if you do that, so that you know which, you know, which version you're holding up without turning it around to look. But I think that those are super helpful too. And yes, Lucky Dip, someone put in the chat, definitely. There are so many things that we can do, right? It's impossible to make an exhaustive list, but definitely. Does anyone have anything else they want to ask, say, share, dispute? Feel free to disagree with me. Marla?
I was still wondering if anyone had any ideas of rhythm games, successful rhythm games to play. You know,
I don't know very many rhythm games, but I was going to say to you that what you can do, which is quite fun, is get the student to record themselves on their phone and then play it back to the group just by holding the phone up to the camera, and then you can get people to, you know, comment like, oh, that part was perfectly in time, or maybe that part is a bit again, and then you can listen again. And this is something that I do a lot in my private teaching, is either they'll play with me or they'll play with my backing track, and obviously therefore I can't hear them, and then they'll record it at their end, and then we'll listen back together. And that is a really great, it takes longer than in person, but it's a really great way to find out what they're actually doing.
And so that's also what you use for when you're trying to do like an accompaniment, because I've been struggling with that too.
Yeah, if they're playing with my accompaniment, but obviously that means they can't do it live, or I can't hear them live. Yeah. Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.